Hello, welcome guys. Peace and blessings be upon you. Islam, a faith that inspires over 1 billion people today, began over 1,400 years ago in the Arabian Peninsula. In a time of tribal division and polytheism, the Prophet Muhammad received a divine revelation, a message of monotheism, justice, and compassion that would transform society and shape the course of history. Join us as we explore the origins of Islam, its spiritual message, and the remarkable journey of its early followers. A story of faith, resilience, and profound impact on humanity. The origins of Islam, a respectful overview. 1. The context, Arabia in the 6th century. Islam began in the early 7th century in the Arabian Peninsula, a region where the society was largely tribal, and most people worshipped many gods, polytheism. Mecca, in particular, was a key religious and commercial center, where people would travel for pilgrimage and to visit the Kaaba, a sacred building that contained idols representing different gods. 2. Muhammad's early life. The Prophet Muhammad was born around 570 CE in Mecca to a respected but poor family. His father passed away before he was born, and his mother died when he was young, so he was raised by his grandfather and later by his uncle. As an adult, Muhammad worked as a merchant and gained a reputation for honesty and integrity. He was known as Al-Amin, meaning the trustworthy. 3. The revelation, the beginning of prophethood. At the age of 40, Muhammad began spending time in solitude in a cave near Mecca, reflecting on the world around him. One night, during the month of Ramadan, while he was meditating in the cave of Hira, he received his first revelation from angel Gabriel. The angel instructed him to read or recite, and this marked the beginning of his prophethood. Over the next 23 years, Muhammad continued to receive revelations, which were eventually compiled into the Quran, the holy book of Islam. 4. The message, monotheism and social justice. The core message Muhammad received was the belief in one God, Allah, who is the same God worshipped by earlier prophets such as Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Muhammad's teachings emphasized monotheism. There is only one God, and he has no partners or associates. Social justice, helping the poor, the oppressed, and ensuring fair treatment for all members of society. Righteous living, living according to ethical principles, being honest, kind, and just. Muhammad called on the people of Mecca to abandon their polytheism and to worship only Allah. He also spoke out against the mistreatment of the poor and vulnerable members of society. 5. The initial rejection and struggles. At first, Muhammad's message was met with resistance, especially from the Quraysh, the tribe that controlled Mecca. They were worried that his teachings would threaten their power and wealth, as many people who had previously been slaves, poor, or marginalized were beginning to follow him. The early followers of Islam faced significant persecution. Some were tortured, and others were forced to flee. Despite this, the number of converts to Islam slowly grew. 6. The migration, Hijra, to Medina. In 622 CE, when the situation in Mecca became dangerous, Muhammad and his followers migrated to the city of Yathrib, later called Medina. This migration is known as the Hijra, and it marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. In Medina, Muhammad was not just a spiritual leader but also became a political leader, helping to resolve disputes and establish laws for the growing Muslim community. 7. The return to Mecca and the establishment of Islam. After years of conflict and negotiations, in 630 CE, Muhammad and his followers were able to peacefully conquer Mecca. They cleansed the Kaaba of idols and dedicated it to the worship of Allah alone. Many of the people of Mecca embraced Islam at this time, and the religion spread further throughout the Arabian Peninsula. 8. Muhammad passed away in 632 CE at the age of 63. Before his death, he delivered his famous farewell sermon, where he reminded his followers of the importance of equality, justice, and the worship of one God. His teachings continued to spread, and today, Islam is one of the world's major religions, with over 1 billion followers. Why Islam started? Islam began because Muhammad was chosen by Allah to deliver a final message to humanity. This message was one of monotheism, social justice, compassion, and moral responsibility. It provided guidance on how to live a righteous life and treated all people with dignity and fairness, regardless of their background. The religion sought to unite people under the belief in one God and to promote peace, justice, and charity. The teachings of Islam addressed the social, moral, and spiritual needs of the people at the time. Muhammad's role was to call people back to the worship of the one true God and to encourage them to live lives of virtue, kindness, and charity. Conclusion. The founding of Islam was a transformative moment in history. Prophet Muhammad is revered by Muslims as the final messenger of Allah, and his teachings continue to inspire and guide millions of people around the world today. The religion emphasizes peace, compassion, and social justice, and it has a rich history of contributing to the intellectual, spiritual, and cultural development of humanity. I hope this explanation clarifies the origins of Islam in a respectful manner. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask.